Not kind of, that's what we're seeing. So, after the discovery of the structure of DNA and of the sequence theory is that the DNA molecule isn't the mystery of life, it's the information that molecule carries, the instructions of life, the instructions on how to build the components of life was discovered. And then Stanley Miller does his experiment, and he synthesizes the components of life. He doesn't create life in a test tube. No one has. And the components that he makes, that he synthesizes in his experiment, are like screws and nuts. And life is like the shuttle, or like our latest aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford, or like whatever it is, iPhone 17 or whatever the newest thing is. Screws and nuts are important to those things, but they're not the whole. They are just a minor component, and that's what Miller synthesized. So, let's see here. Dean Kenyon, I left my, can you throw me my, Dean Kenyon, the guy in the corner, you saw him in the, thank you so much. I set my, I don't even have it in there. Here it is. Joe took care of me. I get up early and I go out and I work on practice my lesson and stuff, and then I set an alarm to stop what else I'm doing and come here. Well, I set it for PM instead of AM. All of a sudden, it's 2 minutes to 9. It's been a rough morning. But Dean Kenyon, the guy in the corner, you saw him in the video right there. He was an atheist biochemist in the late 1960s. And he saw how complex life is, and he pronounced that time and chance just can't produce life. So chemistry must have some properties, some naturalistic properties, that's his worldview, naturalism, that would make life arise, some naturalistic things. So he called it biochemical predestination. I find it interesting how these theological terms pop in when the atheists are talking about origins, biogenesis and predestination and the like. I like to, when those words slip out of the skeptic's mouth, I like to have a little fun with them, and you can ask him questions about that. But he co-wrote the leading textbook, Biochemical Predestination on Chemical Evolution. But the more he researched, he found out and he realized and he publicly said, that doesn't work either. His own book, he says, it doesn't work. The words are good, the ideas are good, but it doesn't work out in the real world. There's no evidence. And some of his graduate students gave him some creationist materials. And he, instead of being, he looked at it. And he went from being the leading atheistic biochemist to being a creationist, to being a young earth creationist, which is the real bane for academia. So it's a good story, and you'll see him in the video. So this video shows that there's a conflict between evolution and engineering. The unscalable wall that materialism runs into when it confronts manufacturing, the building of the cell. Remember, they tell you, a billionth of a second after the Big Bang, 14 billion years ago, this happened, and then that happened, and blah, blah, blah. Or imagine lightning bolts hitting a warm little pond that had molecules in it, and poof, life arose. Blah, blah, blah. All words in a book, all words on a chalkboard. These ideas come up short when confronted by people who design things. an engineer would never believe that. A manufacturer would never believe that because they know what it takes to build something complex, to design it, to build it. This was a quote from early in our lessons. George Wald, a Nobel Prize winning biologist, but when he starts to do, because he's doing stuff in the real world, but when he starts to talk about origins, he says, when it comes to the origin of life, we only have two possibilities: spontaneous generation arising to evolution, or a supernatural creative act of God. There's no third possibility. Well, spontaneous generation was disproved over 100 years ago by Louis Pasteur, Spallanzani, Redi, and others. So that only leaves us with it being a supernatural creative act of God. I cannot accept that philosophically because I don't want to believe in God. Therefore, I choose to believe that which I know is scientifically impossible, spontaneous generation.
Well, he's honest.
Yeah, he is honest. And then later, and that's in Scientific American in 1954, and he won the Nobel Prize for doing real science in '67. Later in this article, he says, time is the hero of the plot. Given enough time, the impossible becomes possible, the possible becomes probable, the probable virtually certain. One only has to wait. Time itself performs the miracles. Ward drops a B-bomb. Where does it say here? I believe. I don't want to believe. He drops an M-bomb. Miracles. Strange word for a scientist. There's a joke there, but I'm not going to say it, I don't think. All right. So in our video, we met Philip Johnson. He's the lawyer that put this meeting together. They talked about Michael Denton's book. Michael Denton is a Australian atheist, agnostic, biochemist, and that's his book right here. It's not that hard to read. It's not that thick. It's a great book. And he raised all sorts of doubts. Michael Behe, we met him in the video. He read Denton's book, and he wrote Darwin's Black Box. Again, it's not that difficult of a read. And the good guys, it's full of complex stuff, but they'll get to they tell a good story, they explain it for laymen, and they says if you're in the higher sciences, continue on. If you're not, jump ahead 5 pages to, and you can bypass all the really difficult stuff, and you still understand what he's saying without losing track of being just over your head. Those are great books. And Darwin's Black Box was really a decisive blow to Darwinism. It was the first real thing that hit the secular world, and it was one of the foundations of what's called the intelligent design movement. Stephen Meyer, he was quite young in this video is a number of years old, and he was quite young. Now he is the leading voice in the ID movement, and he's written these 3 books long after this video was made. And the latest one is Return of the God Hypothesis. 3 scientific discoveries that revealed the mind behind the universe. And the 3 discoveries are: the universe had a beginning, it's not eternal. The fine-tuning of the universe demands a tuner. It can't be chance. And number 3, the information in the content in DNA and in living systems are the product of a mind and not chance and time. All 3 of these books, if you got kids that are going to go to college, and even if they're going to a Christian college, all 3 of these books should be in your libraries. Dads, this should be in your home, because your kids are going to be bombarded. And these are great resources. They're a little thicker, but like I said, especially Meyer, he writes, it's so enjoyable. Has anyone read any of Meyer's books here? They are enjoyable to read, and they're easy to understand, and they're complex, and they can bypass the complexity if you want to. Those are great books. All right, we're going to watch the rest of the video.